Welcome back, I'm Ryan from Blue Gaming, and today I'm taking a look at Forza Horizon 4. Now, before I get into actually talking about it and all the positives and negatives of it, I do need to say that it has been a long time since I've played Forza Horizon 3, and I didn't even play the last Forza Motorsport game. So, if I talk about something as if it's new and it actually was in one of the previous games, my bad. I literally just don't remember much about the previous Forza games. It's been years since I've played them, so with that out of the way, let's get right into this. And I'm going to start out by making this very, very simple. Forza Horizon 4 is the best racing game that I've played since the last Forza Horizon game, but that doesn't mean that it is a perfect game. It's actually very rough around the edges, and that's really what I'm going to focus on, because if you played any Forza game before, you know that these are good games. There's time, there's quality put into these games. The racing feels great. For the most part, I'll talk about the here in a second, but the base game itself is one of the best racing games that I've ever played, only being beaten out by like one or two games ever. So if you want a new racing game that you're going to be able to put a lot of time into, then just go ahead and get Forza Horizon 4. One of the things immediately that I'll point out that was a big problem for Forza Horizon 3 is that this game actually runs good on PCs. The minimum requirements for PCs is actually lower than it was in Forza Horizon 3, and the game just ends up running so much better. The only downside is that it is capped to 60 frames a second, but I understand why they did that, and it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I'm running an i7 7700 and a 1070, and I'm getting constant 60 frames per second on ultra settings. So this game is very easily run by pretty much anything. So yeah, that's a really good step up from the previous game. Another big thing that I also have to give to this is that the starting collection of cars is also one of the best that there has been in a Forza game so far. We get the inclusion of things like the Hoonigan Racing Team, and they have like 6 or 7 different Hoonigan cars in this, including the also famous Hoonicorn Ford Mustang, which is actually one of the more popular cars in the game. There's also some that I didn't even think we'd be seeing in here, like the Dodge Demon, which was a personal favorite of mine. There are some notable exclusions, though, such as the entirety of Toyota's commercial non-racing cars, which is actually Toyota's choice, not Forza's. But yeah, pretty much any car that I can think of that I want to drive is in this game, and they're just adding more as it goes on, so it's great for that. And something that pretty much nobody else is really going to talk about is how much I kind of appreciate the side focus that Forza Horizon 4 has. If you don't know or haven't played some of the previous Forza Horizon games, starting at Forza Horizon 2, each one has kind of had a side focus on what type of events they want you to do. In Forza Horizon 2, for example, you drove around France, and the kind of focus was on the more traditional circuit races and stuff that you'd see in like Forza Motorsports. In Forza Horizon 3, the big push was the off-road and rally kind of races. And in Forza Horizon 4, the big push is drifting, which is something that has been in the Forza games since Forza games have existed. I remember way back in Forza Motorsport 3, way back then, that one of the really popular things to do was having drift races around different circuits. And so it's kind of nice to see that they actually put some focus on it. And I say they put focus on it because this is really the first time that they've had events around drifting. Like, there's drift zones for challenges. The pre-order bonus was the Formula Drift Pack, which gave you 6 or 7 specific Formula Drift or drift-focused cars. And yeah, there's just a kind of a bigger focus on drifting that they really haven't acknowledged before, but we're seeing that now, so that's kind of neat to see. But now that I've gotten pretty much most of the out of the ordinary positives out of the way, remember, I still think that this is one of the best racing games of all time, and that it is the best racing game that I've played in the last couple of years. But this game does have some negatives, and that's what I'm going to be going over for the rest of this video. So let's get the one that is actually a personal preference out of the way. And personally, I don't really like the map here. Like, I know what they're going for with the whole 4 seasons, and I know that they had a pretty okay representation of Great Britain. But personally, I think that they did a better job on the Forza Horizon 3 map. That map had big open areas that were marginally flat. They had big open areas that were hilly. They had actual hills and the whole wooden section to the south of the map. And there was just a bunch of variety in the actual map design. And here, not so much. You get a little bit of farmland that's still full of hills. You get the actual hills, which makes up about 80% of the map, which is just completely covered in forest. And then you have the coast, which really you're not racing all that often on the coast or near the coast. And then the highway isn't actually like a long straightaway or anything. There's a bunch of curves in it and whatnot, and I just not too impressed by it. And like, sure, I understand that it's supposed to get the like different seasons in there to kind of change it up a bit, but the seasons aren't even something that you can change on your own, which kind of goes into my next thing. The seasons change every week, and they go in order and they cycle through them. And if you say want to do something that is specific to the winter season and you miss it, well, oops, you gotta wait 3 weeks before the winter season comes back. And so I personally don't really think that there's enough variety there. And just like, some cars have such a hard time driving in some of the different seasons. Like, if you're in winter, it's not exactly the easiest thing to drive a sports car at high speeds through that, which is understandable, but I'm still going to count that as kind of a negative because we can't change the season readily. Like, if we could change the season readily, then I wouldn't knock them for making sports cars difficult to drive in the winter. But because we have to wait a whole week in the winter, it's kind of annoying. And speaking of how cars handle, there's a very like specific problem that I've been finding in some of the cars in this game. Most of them handle perfectly fine, but I found that quite a few cars actually have an understeering problem, which, if you don't know what that is, understeering is when you go for a turn, you turn the wheel, and essentially the back end of your car just kicks out, which I understand is good for like drifting, but shouldn't happen really on a Lamborghini when you're going 200 miles an hour. Kinda sucks. I understand, and I've heard that that seems to be an actual problem with the real life versions of the cars, but that kind of understeering problem I haven't noticed in previous Forza games. I don't know if it was actually there, but it seems to be more prevalent in this one than in previous Forza games. And now let's go to a bit more of a serious problem that you're going to come across, and that is everything that has to do with the auction house. And this one personally hurts me because Back when I used to play Forza almost every single day, which was back in the days of Forza Motorsports 3, one of the most fun things that I did was just flipping cars and doing stuff with the auction house. But if you played the previous couple of Forza games, you know that the auction house spin's kind of screwed. And it might have actually gotten worse. So pretty much 90% of the cars that you put on the auction house will not sell just because nobody really wants them. It's a lot of filler cars that you get from wheel spins and stuff like that. So it's cars that you didn't buy, you just happen to come across, and you don't really want them, and they're just taking up space in your garage, which is a problem because there is actually a limit to the number of cars you can have in your garage. It's something like 550 something, I think. It's either 550 or 590 something, which sounds like a lot, but when you're going through wheel spins as fast as I am, I've been playing the game for 5 days and I'm already up to 120-ish cars. You can see where you kind of want to get rid of some, and you can't actually just sell them. The only way to get money out of a car is to put it on the auction house, which is really stupid. I wish that you could just sell them for an amount of credits, pretty much just like a percentage of their value that you could just sell just to get rid of them. But no, they don't let you do that. You actually have to get rid of them on the auction house. And you can only have 10 auctions up every single day. So, say I want to get rid of like 50 of my just junk cars that I don't want anymore. I could put up 10 in a day. Then maybe 2, 3, 4 of them will sell because the rest of them are just cars that nobody really wants. And then the next day, do it again. And then the next day, do it again. And you can see just how slow of a process that is. And it sucks because there is actually something that makes cars somewhat valuable in this game. And that is the perk systems for each car. Each car has a set of perks. I think that this was in Forza Horizon 3, but I don't remember. But these perks can actually add or detract value from cars. Some Forza Edition cars, which were previously called Horizon Edition cars, they just give a special bonus to like influence or drifting skills or just different kinds of skills. But essentially, some of those cars can only be gotten through a perk on another car's skill tree. So to give a perfect example, the Forza Edition Lamborghini Revington, I think it's called, I don't remember the actual name, but it has a special bonus that gives you extra money for each race that you complete. So people kind of want that car. But to get that car, you can either go onto the auction house and spend a whole bunch of money, or you can get a Lamborghini Miura and put in 30 points or so, 40 points into its skill tree and get the Lamborghini. So the problem is, if you go into the auction house, you can find plenty of Lamborghini Miuras, but they don't let you check the skill trees of them. So if they let you check the skill trees, then the ones that had the perk unlocked would go down in value because you can't redeem a second version of the car again. And then the ones that didn't have the perk activated would go up in value because that's exactly what people are wanting from the car. So stuff like that is really kind of stupid, where they don't let you check stuff like that, which would actually kind of change the price on some of these vehicles. And because they don't let you do that, every car is pretty much the same, and you end up getting screwed most of the time if you're trying to buy a car in the auction house for that. Which, of the cars that are selling in the auction house, it's really only the stuff like the Lamborghini Miuras, one specific Porsche 911 Turbo, and the Formula Drift cars are pretty much the big sellers because they actually have a reason to bring in value because they're skill trees. Pretty much everything else, most of those cars are not going to sell. If I go and look at the rare cars section that they have in it, almost every auction that they have in the rare cars section is ending up without a single bidder on the cars, and that shouldn't really happen. And overall, I just think that the auction house has gone downhill, and I'm kind of salty about it. Now, I know I've been rambling on just a little bit. At least I'm staying on topic more this time, but there's only three things that I really have left to talk about. The first one is the Mixer integration, because this one's kind of funny and stupid all at the same time. So, as you may know, Microsoft has a Twitch competitor called Mixer, where they want people to stream games on there. And they used Forza Horizon 4 to kind of get people onto Mixer, and that kind of works. Like, they actually are seeing some okay numbers for a small thing, but really there's like 6,000 people watching Forza. But the way that they entice people to watch Mixer is by giving them in-game experience for watching streams, which is so stupid. Essentially what you can do is you can link your Microsoft account to your Mixer account and then just watch a Forza Horizon stream. Every 5 minutes you'll be given 500 experience, and this can be done 24/7. You can have the tab minimized, you can have the stream muted, and it doesn't matter. If you have the stream somewhere on your computer playing, you will get 500 experience every 5 minutes you have it up, which comes out to being roughly 150, 160,000 experience every single day, or every 24 hours that you have a stream up. If you are streaming Forza Horizon 4, you actually get almost double that. You can get upwards of 300,000 experience every single 24 hours that you are streaming. And you can go on there and look, and the top Forza Horizon streams are, seriously, I'll look right now. The top one is a compilation stream just showing moments of other streams, and this one is hosted by Mixer themselves. The next four are all influence farming streams. Like, they literally have influence farm 24/7 in their title, because people don't care about Mixer. They're literally just doing this to get in-game experience, and they're not caring about Mixer whatsoever. And so this is really just kind of funny and stupid, and pretty much I'd take a guess that almost anybody that's above level 100 is probably watching Mixer, has a Mixer stream up. I know that since this game has released, I've had Mixer up almost constantly, and I'm like level 150 now. I know that some people are upwards of level 250, almost 300 at this point, and it's by doing this damn Mixer thing, and it's just kind of funny. And something else that kind of plays into Mixer, Mixer not only gives you experience for watching it, but there's an actual like in-game reward for watching Mixer, because they have this new thing called My Horizon Life or something like that. It's essentially just a bunch of different things that you can level up, and then you get rewards for leveling them up. So like the different kind of races, like the road races or the cross-country races, the dirt races, the drag races, all the different challenges, some of the special challenge modes that they have. Each of those have a different level up kind of thing. Some of them level up to level 10, the rest of them level up to level 20, and you get rewards based on how you do in them. And as you level them up and get more influence, as it's called, which is essentially just experience, you level these up. So to give an example, the The road racing one, when you reach level 10, in that, you get a big race called the Colossus, and then once you reach level 20, you get an even bigger race called the Goliath. You actually get a big race at level 10 for each of the different racing styles. And so, the thing that's kind of a downside for this is I've played almost every single race in this game. Like, I've got 5, maybe 10 left to do, and I'm like level 10 on each of these things. So you have to grind races to actually level these up all the way, which like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because it's kind of cool that you can't just rush through this game in a week. The problem that I have is they don't have enough unique races to actually get you up to the top. Like, when I finish about halfway through level 10 on each of them, when I finished each of their respective races that are associated with the levels. And so I'm going to have to probably go through and play each of the races another 1.5 times to actually get to level 20 and unlock everything. And so I'm just kind of a downside that you have to replay races like that. And I know that this video is actually getting kind of long, so we will end it off with one final positive, and that is actually the Forzathon Live thing that they have. So at the top of every hour, there is a online event called Forzathon Live that you can go to. It's a spot on the map where a bunch of people will meet up. Usually it's like 10 plus people if you're playing in the middle of the day, and then if you're playing at like the middle of the night, you might have 3 or 4 people show up. And essentially these people all show up and you go and do challenges together. Like, it might be a drift zone, or it might be a speed trap, or a speed zone. It might be a danger sign, and you just do 3 challenges together. You have 15 minutes to complete the 3 challenges and get to a specific threshold on each. So like in the speed zone, it's not each person just does the speed zone once. It's like, as a collective, everybody here has to clock in 3,000 miles per hour in the speed zone, and so you keep going through it to get that group count up. And personally, I just think that this is really cool. Like, the way that it gets people together to actually work for this common goal, and what you get out of it is these Forzathon Live points, which each season in the game, which is 1 week, there's a Forzathon Live store which will offer 2 cars, wheel spins, and some clothing items for these Forzathon Live points. And for each different objective that you complete, you get 10 Forzathon Live points. So if you complete all 3 objectives, then you get 30 points. There's a special house in the game that you can buy, which isn't really something that I talked about, which I'll talk about next because I completely forgot about them. But that doubles it, so you can technically get up to 60 points every hour. And that's actually pretty decent, because every season, Forzathon Live store offers a rare car for 300 Forzathon Live points. So if you don't have that special house, then you have to play 10 Forzathon Live events. If you do have it, then you only have to play 5 of them. And I just think it's a really good way to get the community together for like a common goal for a few minutes. Kind of break up the monotony of doing the same race over and over again. So going on to those houses that I was talking about just a second ago, there's houses scattered around the maps, and I know that this is a new thing for it, because I remember this not being in Forza Horizon 3. But some of these houses offer like special perks. Like, one of them you can buy, and it lets you fast travel anywhere on the map. Another one gives you double Forzathon Live points. and just some different perks like that. And those are usually like mildly expensive houses. I remember the one that lets you fast travel anywhere costs 2 million credits, and the one where you get double Forzathon live points is 5 million credits. But there's also some cheaper ones at like 300,000 credits, but those will just give you clothing items and some regular wheel spins. So just a nice little way to sink some extra credits if you happen to have extra ones. So that is pretty much all that I have to say about Forza Horizon 4. I could continue talking about more stuff, but it would be just a splattering of like minor things that are positives and negatives, and I could keep going for a while, but I won't. So overall, I think that Forza Horizon 4 is definitely still one of the best racing games that I've played in the past couple of years. And I think that it is, in pretty much every single way, better than Forza Horizon 3, except for the map. I do prefer Forza Horizon 3's map more. But, yeah, that is it for this. As always, I'm Ryden from Blue Gaming, and I will see you guys in the next one.